We are on our quest to learn everything we can about Australia, and today we're checking out 15 things to know about Australians before moving to Australia. This is from 2023, but close enough that we could
Yeah,
probably
we
go with
could
it.
we could get a feel for it. So
We've had her on a channel before. She was talking about movies and TV shows.
yeah, that's right.
So let's see what her take on the Australian people.
Let's see.
3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're talking about Australians. What are they like? What should you expect when you move here? If you're interested, keep watching. Something that caught my attention when I first came to Australia 7 years ago is that people are very friendly. I never forget my first week here. I was walking down the street, completely lost, looking for the supermarket, and suddenly a very lovely Australian couple approached me and they asked me, "Are you lost? Do you want some help?" And they helped me to find the supermarket. And how amazing was that? I didn't ask for any help, but they just came and helped me. And this friendliness is also reflected in the fact that they love small talk. Believe it or not, Australians love to talk to strangers, and that's another thing that really caught my attention. When you're on the tram, for example, people just start talking to each other or they make jokes. For example, if you're walking down the street, someone might yell, "Oh, nice t-shirt." It's so amazing. And I feel that this friendliness is also reflected on the fact that Australians call everyone mate. Cheers, mate. Cheers, buddy. How you going, mate? Good day, mate. And yeah, it makes you feel good.
Wow. Nice one. I mean, this was a country that Britain put all of their prisoners in, so maybe some British politeness has seeped into Australia. So
I don't know. I would be very cynical of Australian politeness because I know the real love language is taking the piss out of people.
Yeah, insulting people.
And I feel that, and I love that.
Again, another similarity with Britain. I mean, don't mean to be comparing the two, but hey, we've done it all the time with US and UK stuff over on our other channels. So, like, you should already know that we do that.
Yeah, if someone's like, "Nice t-shirt," I'm like, "Oh, damn it." I would be like, okay, fair point. Just like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. That's just me though. It might be different. It might be different. Okay.
Yeah, we're very individualistic in this country. So unless you're like in the small towns, saying hi to a random stranger, just striking up conversation, it's a bit weird.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm a small talker. I'll small talk you to death.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, you will.
So yeah, I dig that though. So
yeah,
cool.
Me, I'm just the introvert that you need to adopt.
There you go.
This is the only thing. Like this, that's how introverts make friends. Like someone like him adopts them, and now here we are.
I'm the hype man.
You're the hype man. Yep.
How you going, mate? Good day, mate. And yeah, it makes you feel good.
Good day, mate.
So yeah, Australians are super friendly, super laid back. And of course, in relation to that, Australians are also very informal. I'll give you an example. They love walking barefoot, even around the city. I saw that in my first week in Australia. I was about to cross the street and suddenly I have a girl standing next to me wearing a beautiful dress, but she was barefoot. They're so laid back and so free. And of course, informality is also reflected in the Australian slang and the shortening of words. For example, "I'll see you this arvo," which means I'll see you this afternoon. "I'm going to have brekkie now." "I'm going to have breakfast now." The dress code is also very informal. Everyone wears flip-flops or thongs everywhere.
All right, so I like that. It's like a beach vacation all the time.
Yeah, I dig that. That where the properness is just put somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, give me somewhere I can be real. Like that's where I want to be.
Exactly.
Everyone wears flip-flops or thongs everywhere. Australians are also very respectful, and I talked about this in my video about Australian workplace culture. Australians are very respectful. They're always saying thank you, sorry, pardon, no worries, nice to meet you, please. In terms of respect, for example, it's considered super disrespectful if you go to a shop or to a restaurant and you complain about a product by yelling or swearing or insulting at the customer service representative or at retail staff.
Okay, so being a Karen in Australia is very frowned upon.
I'm booking my ticket today.
All right, okay, Skyscanner, what you got?
Oh man, yes.
So yeah, this is a society that really values respect and politeness. Another thing that you should know about Australians is that they make appointments for absolutely everything, whether it is to go to the doctor or to see a friend. I know that in some cultures you can just drop by your friend's house and say, hey, do you want to hang out? But not in Australia. Here usually you call your friends and you organize a time to see them during the week, but you don't pop up unannounced.
Okay, so
that's a no shit though. Like,
yeah,
I'm busy. I got shit
Yeah.
to do. You pop up. Guess what you're helping me with? The shit I gotta do.
right, exactly. Which isn't a problem in most cases, but yeah, but between the two of us, like there's a lot of planning that goes along to even meet up with each other to do this, and even more to meet up in person. So
Yeah.
that's something that we relate to here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of making appointments, usually it's considered rude if you are late. So that's another thing. Australians really value punctuality and being on time.
Yep. Appreciate that as well. I like being on time. I like
Yep.
keeping schedules.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Personal space and greetings. Australians really love their privacy and their personal space. So this means that if you're talking to someone, you do so by keeping a bit of distance. Or for example, if you're in line, you keep a bit of distance as well. Too much proximity sometimes can feel a bit uncomfortable. And this of course goes for greetings as well. When you meet someone for the first time, you don't kiss them on the cheek or you don't hug them. You usually say, hey, how you going? Or you shake their hands. If you know them and they're your friends, you can give them a hug, and that's usually the case, especially with women. Guys usually just shake hands, even if they know each other. Also, when you shake someone's hand, and this is the first time you've met them, you usually say, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, that's very similar to US culture of,
Yeah.
unless you don't really, hug someone unless you know them really well. And even between dudes, it's shaking a hand, that's that kind of thing. I guess that's more of a European thing, is greeting someone with a kiss on the cheek. That's just something we don't do in America either.
That's something that's interesting. Well, I mean, a lot of I would say Hispanic cultures are very no personal space, just very close. They get into that bubble.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Yeah.
Relationships, whether it is friendships or romantic relationships, usually take a bit of time to develop, and consent is something very important as well. You don't force anyone into an intimate relationship, and also bear in mind that both men and women are considered equals. Both people in the relationship have to be in agreement that they want to be with each other.
Yeah. That's a more no shit Sherlock right there.
I thought that was like universal. But okay, I'm glad you put it out there. Cool.
Right. Maybe, I don't know, casual dating maybe isn't as big in Australia. I don't know.
If you're invited to someone's house here in Australia, the expectation is that you're going to reply, whether it is accepting that invitation or declining. But it is considered rude if you leave them hanging, wondering whether you're going to be able to make it or not. So always RSVP, that is, reply to that invitation.
Yeah, I mean, that's becoming a thing here in the States of like people are starting to ghost people, or it's not just, between individuals, between friends, between relationships. Like that would be a sign that things are ending with that relationship. And even like employers or things like that, you put in an application and you find out that you're not getting that job based off that the listing isn't there anymore.
Yeah, instead of a reply.
You don't get an email saying, hey, sorry, sorry we didn't go with you. Like that common courtesy.
Yeah.
That's becoming a lost form in the States. I'm glad it's still a thing in Australia, though.
Good. Hang on to it while you can, guys.
Yes,
for sure.
please.
Fight for it.
Yes.
If you're invited to someone's house or social gathering and they say bring your own, BYO, this means that they're expecting you to bring your own drinks. And this is the case for almost any social gathering here in Australia. Most people bring their own drinks because alcohol here is very expensive. Many times you'll also be asked to bring a plate, and that means to bring a dish of your liking to contribute to the table, and everyone shares the food. So this is very, very common. In terms of the dish that you can bring, usually finger food such as sausage rolls or pies would be okay, or even meat for the barbecue or a pasta salad. Also, speaking of barbecues, it's very common in Australia to have a barbecue at the park to celebrate a birthday or an occasion with your friends, and you'll see that there are many public barbecues all along different parks, and that's something that I really love about Australia. And remember that Australians call barbecues barbies.
Yeah, Barbies. On the, I think a video that we checked out, like 101 differences of Australia and America, is, you know, having in public parks barbecue grills, and how that's part of a, you know, social get together, which is very similar to the States. And a lot of public parks, we do have, you know, barbecue grills that they don't all have gas, but it's mostly charcoal is what it is.
I rarely see the I guess the grill, that's what I would call it, regardless if it's like charcoal or gas powered, ever getting used.
No,
You know, I don't see it too much. Maybe 1 out of 100.
yeah,
Maybe. I just don't see them getting used that much. I don't know what it is, but we do have them. We have them everywhere. Every park has them. But
right. Like I said, it's not mostly charcoal here in the States. I've seen like gas in Australia, though.
wow.
Yeah.
About Australia. And remember that Australians call barbecues barbies.
Housewarming.
Another very common social gathering in Australia is the housewarming party. And this caught my attention because it's not something common in my culture. But basically a housewarming party is that when you move into a new house, you host a party with your friends and you show them your new house, you show them the bedrooms, the living room, you have some drinks, some finger food, just talk. It's another excuse to really meet with people and socialize.
Yeah. We do that in the States as well.
Yeah.
When someone gets a new house, I mean, not as often because the housing market is absolute shit right now. But yeah, I've been to a couple of housewarming parties, and it's
now have they
normal.
happened? Have they happened while they were moving in, like, or have they moved in and hosted one? Because I've been to two different kinds.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been to ones where they bought a house and they haven't moved in, and they're like, hey, we got a house. Nothing's set up. But I feel like that's not a bad kind of housewarming party either, because it's like there's nothing for anyone to mess up. It's
exactly.
It's all open. Right.
Yeah.
But,
And if there was a point earlier with the whole grill thing, usually you can bring your own drinks to a housewarming party or any kind of social gathering. Usually it just depends on it. And like sometimes they'll have the alcohol there, sometimes they won't. There are cheaper options in the States from what I've heard.
Yes.
And like to bring your own food, that would a dish that's kind of like a potluck situation in the States. Like if it's a potluck or get together, it's expected you bring something.
And you know that beforehand. You know, like that's made well aware that it's a potluck. Or to bring your own beer, or to just what I do is I would donate a case of beer to the cause. If I know that they're drinking, if I know that there's kids and there's not going to be drinking, obviously I'm not going to bring beer.
Right. Or keep it in a cooler in the trunk of your car.
Yeah.
And bring the boys over. We all crack one, you know?
Yep. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. Dinner.
Oh, and if you're invited for dinner here in Australia, dinner usually starts at 6 or 7 p.m. And don't be late. Remember that Australians really, really love punctuality. And if you're going to be late, let them know.
Yep.
In terms of food, Australians really love Vegemite, Tim Tams, smashed avocado, Indian food, fish and chips, Thai food, and any Asian food. Really, every time that I talk to my Australian friends and I say, what would you say is the national Australian dish? It's very hard for them to really pinpoint what's the typical Australian dish because Australia is so multicultural. You'll find amazing dishes from lots of different cultures. You'd be surprised to hear, maybe not, but in Australia, kangaroo as well is a typical dish.
Okay. Yeah. I think in a earlier video we asked people what's kangaroo like, and I said it's like a very gamey type of meat, but very edible as well.
It's interesting that they probably consume more kangaroo than we consume deer.
Right, right.
You know,
like,
which is interesting. I mean, not in a bad way, but I'm like that's smart. They consume the kangaroo. That's part of their diet. Not everyone's, but we don't consume deer en masse at all.
right, or duck.
Or
Those are
duck.
two like very tasty meats that we just don't consume as much as we do beef, chicken, pork, things like that. And and kind of a similar sentiment of like there's no one national dish. Like you mentioned a few like things of British origin. There's a few Asian style dishes as well.
Yep.
And it's kind of like here in the States. It's a
It's
big
like a
melting
melting pot.
pot.
Yep.
Like, I don't know, hot dogs, hamburgers, but those have German origins. Pizza has Italian, tacos, those are like Mexican origin. Biscuits and gravy, fried chicken, maybe those could be national dishes. But then again,
Maybe.
it's a big old melting pot. So there's a lot of candidates for national dish.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I dig it. It's like there's something for everyone. Obviously, it's not just one way,
Right?
you know. And I like that. It makes it better. I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But in Australia, kangaroo as well is a typical dish.
Dining out.
If you want to dine out, go to a restaurant. Usually restaurants close at 9:30, 10 p.m. and that's the latest. Which is really funny because I come from a Spanish culture and 10 p.m. is usually peak hour.
Yeah.
Australians love their drinks, especially beer and wine. And they have a pretty strong drinking culture. And it seems that that's one of the main reasons as well why alcohol is so expensive here, because it's heavily taxed to discourage its consumption. Another drink that Australians love, especially here in Melbourne, is coffee. The coffee culture is huge and the coffee is so good.
Yep. A video we did is why Starbucks failed in Australia, because they've got great coffee there already.
Which blew my mind. Which is like out of all the coffee cultures that are possibly out there, Australia never once crossed my mind.
Right.
At all. But it makes sense in that video. I was like, okay, that's interesting. The people that went to Australia brought the coffee culture with them. And I was like, yeah, makes sense. But that's interesting about the restaurants closing at 10. That's usually when late night pig starts here.
Right. Or in the big cities, like when the small towns, definitely they're closing around 9 or 10.
True.
But then again, you could buy alcohol until midnight in my county.
Yep.
So
that's interesting though. I wonder why. It's like I always associated like beer drinking, good time, Australia, off-roading, outback, like synonymous. Like it's all one big package. But coming to find out, alcohol is super expensive. Like that shocked me for being a staple of what is perceived, I guess, for me, what was perceived culture is like so expensive, so taxed, so regulated, so heavily fined or frowned upon if you are. I don't know what I was trying to say, but it shocked me how strict things were with alcohol over there.
Right. So I guess drinking in the home is probably a more common thing than drinking out.
Yes. So house parties would be a thing.
Yeah. I mean, they are here in the States, but then again, there's that too,
Yeah.
Huge. And the coffee is so good. Australians love environmental conservation. They really look after their parks and nature and wildlife. They're very environmentally conscious. Here, recycling is very, very common. For takeaway coffee, Australians usually use reusable cups, especially at work. No littering of the streets, parks. You always take a rubbish bag with you if you go camping, if you go hiking. There are very, very hefty fines if you litter. If you go camping, hiking, or you are in nature, the best way to behave is to follow the leave no trace principles. That is, don't disturb wildlife. If you find logs or dirt or flowers, just leave them in their place. Don't leave rubbish behind. Always take your rubbish bag with you. Playing music out loud at a campsite or at the beach is considered rude, but I'm going to make a video about the things that you shouldn't do here in Australia, so stay tuned. Another thing.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a beautiful country, and if you care that much about it, preserving the natural beauty of it, then yeah, there's going to be that regulation in place.
Yep.
And hefty fines for littering. That is something
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I wish we had tackled that earlier in our country's development.
Yeah, but like we've said in other videos, old habits die hard.
Yeah.
About conservation is that Australians are very conscious when it comes to saving water because there are many droughts around the country. Being mindful of the amount of water that you use when you take a shower. The rule is usually a 3-minute shower.
Okay.
Australia is a very multicultural nation, and this means that they celebrate a lot of cultural festivities such as Chinese New Year, Diwali, and many others. Christmas in Australia is a public holiday, and Australians usually celebrate Christmas by having lunch with their family on the 25th of December. They don't usually celebrate Christmas Eve. The 26th of December is a public holiday as well in Australia, and this is called Boxing Day. Traditionally, this day represents a day when the rich give money and donations to those in need. But nowadays, Boxing Day is the day when most retail stores have huge sales on different products. Australians also celebrate New Year's Eve on the 31st of December, and you'll see firework shows all over the country. Especially, of course, the Sydney one is the most popular one across the world. Fun fact, did you know that Australians are not allowed to set off their own fireworks? This is actually illegal in Australia. So if you were expecting to buy your fireworks, I'm sorry to say, but you won't be able to do that.
Oh, no. Oh, well.
I'm going to have to unpack my bags now. I was all right. I'll pay your hefty beer fines, alcohol fines, but no fireworks.
Shoot.
Dang.
But yeah, we don't have Boxing Day here, but I guess that's something left over from Britain. For those that are watching that are not American, our equivalent of Boxing Day would be Black Friday, which is the day after American Thanksgiving, which is the fourth Thursday in November.
Yeah.
Even though like that's when, a lot of drinking happens, like football, and all the stores have a lot of discounts, things like that. Even though as of like the last 5-6 years, it's kind of not been as big of a thing with the rise of online shopping and all the stores just kind of giving deals in October. So it's
that
kind of
like the Black Friday sale is more like a Prime Day. That's like what it is now.
Yeah, and it's Cyber Monday, and it's, I think a term that I heard used for it is gray winter or something.
Gray winter, I like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Australia Day, this is a public holiday that takes place on the 26th of January, which marks the day when British colonies arrived for the first time in the Australian continent. But this is a bit of a controversial date, and many people, especially the young ones, don't really celebrate Australia Day anymore. Because this day also marks the day when Aboriginal or First Nations people were brutally colonized by the newly arrived British colonies. And there are more and more social movements that are calling for this day to be completely abolished or changed. So bear that in mind. Every time 26th of January comes in, there's going to be a lot of movement around the country.
All right. That's honestly good to know. like
sense.
the connotations of that. Like the only equivalent of that for the States, although it's not really as or maybe it could be argued it could have some connotation of that, is 4th of July.
Oh,
Is
I was thinking Columbus Day.
Oh, Columbus Day. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe that could
that would
be.
be a better parallel.
Yeah, that's a better parallel for that. Even though the intention was to be the same as our 4th of July when we declared our independence from Great Britain. That's our national holiday.
Yeah.
But in reality, yeah, it's more in line with Columbus Day in the
Yeah.
United States.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of movement around the country. Something that you should know is that Australians don't usually debate about politics or religion. In many countries, including mine, debating about all these issues is very, very common, especially when you're in social gatherings or with your family over the table, you usually debate about the things. This is not the case in Australia. So if you're at work or just with your Australian friends, try to avoid these topics because it may make some people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here in the States. Like, if a political discussion or a religious discussion comes up at a family gathering,
Just leave the fucking room.
Leave it. It has soured. Just don't bring it up.
There's nothing else to talk about when that stuff happens.
Yeah, 100%. Ugh, yeah.
Try to avoid these topics because it may make some people feel uncomfortable.
Sport.
If you want to find a topic to talk about in Australia, sports is your best bet, especially footy and cricket. If you don't know what footy is, this refers to the AFL or Australian football, and this is a sport unique to Australia. After 7 years of living here, I must be honest, I still don't get footy, but most of my Australian friends are crazy about footy. They go to the footy every weekend. They love it. I've been to 2 matches and I really love the atmosphere. And I think the beauty of this sport is that it's very family oriented. And because it's so family oriented, when you are there, there's no really aggression or violence, unlike other countries. People are cheering and they're mixing up with people from the other team and there's no aggression. So I highly recommend going at least to one footy match and experiencing the atmosphere and what it is like to be there. It's a very, very big part of the Australian culture. So
Okay, that's good to know that it's a similar culture to NFL here in the States. You have the teams mixing with each other. Generally, it's safe for the family, except if it's like Philly or Boston. But
or like one of those derbies, right? That's one of those head-to-head like rivalries games, right? Isn't that where the insanity ensues?
Yeah. But from what she's saying, it's not as not like an English football derby or a South American football derby. Yeah. But that could be 100% wrong. It could be complete BS because she's only been to 2.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and she could have been to some weak-ass matches. So,
yeah.
You know, but you know what though? It's always good to hear this kind of perspective, and especially this lady does not come from the US. So it's good to see what she compares it to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's good. I think there needs to be more like videos like this from more different channels. I think this is great to dive in on. Like gives us a perspective, something to base it out of. I wish there were some more, I guess, US perspectives. That way we can relate a little more. Where the relation makes sense to us a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is good too. This is good too.
We've already done one with like 100 differences between Australia and the US. But if there's more, y'all let us know down below. So, and what did she miss? What did she get right? What did she get wrong? How do we not look like a damn tourist in Australia?
I'm pretty sure the immediate sunburn would give us away.
The sunburn,
the immediate get off the plane and just pink, like oh, don't touch me.
The accent probably,
that too, probably.
The love of Starbucks, things like that. What else? Put them down below. Y'all know what to do. After that, consider subscribing, watching another video. Thank you, channel members, for your support. What now, Dan?
unplug and go do some traveling, guys.
That's right. Good day, y'all.